At the parent-teacher meeting, I, as the class teacher, had invited all the parents to come. But my fiancé, Ethan, who had taken time off work, came with another mother and her daughter. After the meeting was over, the daughter of that woman sent me a message in our class group chat. At teacher, Chloe, when will my dad come home? And at teacher, Chloe, can you give my dad back to me? I then posted our wedding invitation for Ethan and me in the class group chat, and it immediately caused a lot of talk. Ethan, however, got angry and shouted at me, "Can you stop doing this? Olivia is a single mother raising her child. Do you know how hard that is as a young lady from a wealthy family?" Later, I ended our engagement and got a transfer to Beijing. After he found out the truth, Ethan chased me to the airport, his eyes red, and he held my hand tightly. "Chloe, can we start over?" The parent-teacher conference on that Friday felt like the last day of my teaching career. In just 2 hours, I would be in the principal's office, handing in my final paperwork and saying goodbye to this place that had taken 6 years of my life. Standing at the front of the classroom, I looked down at the parents. My fiancé, Ethan, was sitting with Olivia, looking like a couple. He was handsome and she was beautiful, and they were getting the attention of the other parents around us. "I really envy how good your relationship is," one parent whispered. "Sophia's mom looks so young. She doesn't look like she's ever had children," another parent added. "Yeah, they look like sisters standing next to each other," someone else said. Olivia blushed a little, seeming embarrassed, but then she gave me a look that seemed proud. The man next to her, Ethan, smiled as he watched Sophia and adjusted her workbook. When he noticed me looking at him, he looked up at me. His eyes showed a mix of feelings, including a bit of regret. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something. I looked down at the transfer request form that was ready on the podium. My fingers trembled slightly. I thought I had already stopped feeling things deeply. A week ago, I had prepared all the documents and decided to leave. But I never expected him to come to the parent-teacher conference with Olivia, acting like a happy family right in front of me. And what about me? What did I mean to him? What was my role as his fiancé? Everything I was seeing was so shocking. My heart felt like it had been stabbed with a dull knife, aching with every beat. The English teacher next to me noticed I was upset and came over to help, asking with concern, "Miss Lee, are you feeling unwell? Do you want to rest in the next room? I can take over the rest of the meeting." I held back the sudden rush of emotions, nodded my thanks, and walked out of the classroom with my papers. Suddenly, my phone rang. I looked at the screen, took a deep breath, and changed my tone before answering. "Mom, I'm doing what you said. Everything is arranged. I'll be home next month." The voice on the other end of the line trembled a little. "Good. It's good you're coming home." Looking back, Olivia had come back to the country 3 years ago. For these 3 years, I had lived in a constant state of worry. She was Ethan's childhood neighbor, a girl he had grown up with. She went abroad for high school, got married, and then divorced. She returned to the country alone with her young daughter. During the time she was away, Ethan and I had been together from university through our engagement for 6 years. We even had a small home in the big city. I thought happiness in this world was just this. Until Olivia, wearing a long dress, stood before me, holding a little girl. Ethan gently introduced them. "Chloe, this is my childhood friend Olivia, and this is Sophia, Olivia's daughter." I looked at them standing together and felt a strange unease. Olivia smiled sweetly and said, "Chloe, I just came back to the country and am not familiar with many things. I'll need to trouble Ethan a lot in the future. I hope you won't mind." They say a woman's intuition is often right, and indeed, my unease had a good reason. From that day on, Ethan kept leaving the house, saying he was helping Olivia settle down. He kept missing our dinners, our anniversaries, and even my birthday. He even arranged for them to stay in a house in the school district next to ours, and he used his position on the school board to have Sophia transferred to my class. I questioned him in disbelief. That house in the neighboring school district was meant for our future kids when we get married. How could you give it to someone else? Ethan's face showed his annoyance. "You're really going to make a fuss about a single mother? Chloe, I never knew you could be this mean." Sometimes late at night, after we had already gone to bed, the phone would suddenly ring, and Ethan would quickly answer it and go out to the balcony, closing the door behind him. In the darkness, I would silently open my eyes. looking through the glass, watching him gently comfort another woman. Ethan and I argued more and more because of Olivia. Eventually, I got tired of arguing and stopped trying to fight back. Until the engagement party last week. I was wearing a simple white dress, greeting guests and making small talk while also calling Ethan, urging him to hurry up. He kept saying he was in a meeting but would come as soon as it was over. The person in charge of the party had already asked about him 3 times. It was time to exchange rings, and everyone was waiting for the groom to come in. I paced nervously backstage, calling him again, but his phone went straight to voicemail. Holding back my anger, I smiled and toasted every guest, apologizing that the engagement party had to be rescheduled. When I got home, I lay down on the couch, completely exhausted, and checked my phone. I saw Olivia's post. "You are my youthful joy, my life's support," heart emoji. In the picture, Ethan was sitting next to Sophia, his face slightly turned to the side, with a workbook in front of them. I laughed in anger, grabbing the vase next to me and throwing it at the wall. The pieces of the vase scattered everywhere, and I closed my eyes, feeling drained. Ethan and I had been together through college, survived the difficulties of life, and stayed together through the years. 6 years. I had loved him out of habit, and now a single Olivia had easily destroyed it all. I waited on the couch all night. Ethan didn't come home. I stared at the sky outside, which was slowly getting brighter, my eyes hurting, but my mind was strangely clear. 6 years. I had loved him enough. "What are you doing sitting here?" Ethan's voice suddenly broke my thoughts, and I turned to look at him. "Is the parents' meeting over?" He nodded and took out his car keys. "I'll take you home first. I have to go back to the office after this." I knew this was his way of showing he wanted to make up. He rarely gave in or softened his tone with me. Whenever I was angry, he would give me the silent treatment. It was rare for him to offer an apology like this. I moved aside and replied without emotion. "No need. I have other things to do." His brow furrowed in annoyance, thinking I was just throwing a fit. He grabbed my wrist and said in a low voice, "Stop making a scene, okay?" At the parents' meeting today, Sophia didn't have a father there. She didn't want to be looked down on by the other kids. If this had happened before, I would have listened to him, comforted him, and understood his worries. But now, I felt a slight sense of disgust. I stopped walking and quietly looked into his eyes. "Ethan, you're hurting me." He suddenly let go of my wrist. I ignored him and turned towards the administration building. Ethan, furious, was about to chase after me and say something, but just then, Olivia's voice, sounding like she was about to cry, came from behind us. "Ethan, have I caused you trouble again?" Ethan immediately stopped and turned around to gently comfort her. I let out a cold laugh and quickly walked away from that unfortunate place. "Ah, Miss Lee, why didn't you tell me earlier that you are Director Lee's daughter? This is—" The principal jumped up from his chair, holding my transfer application in his hand. "Director Lee already called me. Everything is arranged for your transfer. Don't worry, the approval will come through soon." I nodded slightly. "Thank you, Principal." My father is the director of the Education Bureau in Beijing, and I had originally studied education to take over his position. But after graduation, Ethan insisted on staying in this city to start his business. I made a difficult decision and gave up the path my family had planned for me to stay with him. For years, my father was angry and didn't speak to me. My mother would complain and beg me to return home during every holiday. I had never been a good daughter. Holding the transfer form, I looked at the red stamp on it, feeling a wave of relief. This wasn't just a form. It was my ticket to freedom. By the way, I suddenly remembered something. Please keep this confidential, Principal. It's just a regular teacher transfer. Don't let anyone else know, especially the school board. The principal paused for a moment and then said, "Don't worry, I promise it won't leak. Ethan is a member of the school board. If he finds out I'm leaving, there will surely be endless arguments." Just because of Ethan's words, because he wanted us to have a home, I gave up my future and obediently played the role of a supportive partner for 6 years. We fought many times because of this. Ethan would kneel beside me and cry, saying, "Chloe, I'm just so afraid of losing you. You're so good, and I really feel insecure." Seeing his tears and pleas, I would soften. Now, thinking back, anger rises within me. Even when I was promoted to class teacher, he was upset. Just then, Olivia had returned to the country with her daughter. Olivia would get jealous if he didn't answer her calls, relying on him for everything, big or small. He seemed to enjoy it. I broke down, crying, smashing furniture, and yelling at him to come home immediately. At first, Ethan would patiently comfort me, but later he became more and more impatient. Eventually, he stopped saying anything at all, slamming doors and walking away, leaving me alone to calm down on my own. Now, I've finally understood. I was once free, but love clouded my judgment, making me fight to be confined. How ridiculous. In the past 6 years, my emotions had never been as calm and light as they were now. Fortunately, I'm still young. Fortunately, I never signed that marriage certificate. I still have the courage to start over. After realizing this, I began spending more time in the library and training rooms every day. Although I'm about to transfer back to the Beijing Education Bureau, there's still so much I need to learn. I need more research results and certificates to establish myself in the new position. The last time I embarrassed Ethan at school, he almost didn't come home. I know he's angry at me. He's waiting for me to apologize. He knows I can't stand the silent treatment and will come running back to him, like I've done countless times before. Meanwhile, Olivia has been posting frequently on her social media. Finally, it's summer vacation. I can go out with the two most important people in my life. The fireworks at Disney are so beautiful. It's even better when you watch them with the ones you love. Heart emoji. In the pictures, they are standing together under the bright fireworks, looking sweet and happy. The comments were full of well wishes and envy from other parents, lively and cheerful. I remembered Ethan's promise to take me to Disney to make my dream come true. I couldn't help but smile sarcastically as I casually looked through my phone, calmly liking her post. A rotten cucumber. Whoever wants it can have it. A few days later, she finally couldn't hold back and sent me a private message. Chloe, sorry about this. These past few days, I've been borrowing Ethan to play with Sophia. I hope it didn't bother you too. Chloe, Ethan said he hasn't had this much fun in a long time. I smiled faintly and replied, thanks for keeping him entertained. Olivia didn't expect me to be so understanding. The typing indicator stayed on for a while, but she didn't reply. I could feel her annoyance through the screen, and I felt rather pleased. For the past few days, Ethan hadn't come home. I've been waking up naturally every day, not having to worry about taking care of anyone. The rest of my time was spent at the library, studying. I used to be so foolish, acting as Ethan's nanny and secretary. From now on, Chloe would only belong to herself. I stretched lazily and, in a good mood, started packing my things. The transfer approval came through this week, so I began preparing to move. Today, when I got home, I found a familiar figure sitting on the sofa. Ethan was back. He looked at me, his brow furrowed. Why is the house so messy? I just wanted to tidy things up, I answered vaguely, not wanting to argue with him so soon. Now you care about the house? He seemed to believe me, sneering coldly. I didn't respond and kept packing. Seeing that I wasn't speaking, his expression softened a little. I've told you before, don't focus so much on your career. You should spend more time with the other wives. Have a few cups of tea, chat, go for some spa treatments. Isn't that better? I couldn't help but raise my head and look at him. Is that all I'm worth to you? His brow furrowed again and his tone became impatient and harsh. Why are you bringing this up again? I interrupted him with a half smile. I remember you once said that when you first told me you liked me, I was standing at the podium, not in the kitchen. Ethan was stunned, momentarily speechless. When he spoke again, his voice softened significantly. Chloe, I just want you to rely on me more. That way, your life would be easier. I couldn't be bothered to say more and lowered my head to continue sorting my things. Suddenly, my phone rang. A notification from the class group caught my attention. Sophia, at Teacher Lee, when will my dad come home? Sophia, at Teacher Lee, can you please give my dad back to me? Reading those two messages, my heart sank. I felt a wave of anger and frustration build up in my chest like a tight knot that I couldn't untangle. Sophia's two direct messages in the group immediately caused a big reaction, with parents flooding the chat one after another. Oh my God, what's the relationship between Lee teacher and Sophia's dad? Isn't this kind of interfering with someone else's family? There's such a big scandal. Aren't Sophia's parents supposed to be in a loving marriage? Sophia's mom, if you need a lawyer, you can contact me. Don't listen to rumors. The child probably just doesn't understand what she's saying. You're defending the mistress. What kind of person does that make you? The group chat was like water splashing into hot oil, boiling over in a chaotic uproar. It was clear Olivia was using public opinion to put me in a difficult position. I had originally wanted to leave quietly, but since someone wasn't willing to let that happen, I had no choice but to make things more drastic. Ethan noticed something was wrong with my face and was about to come over, but just in time, his phone rang. It was Olivia calling. He glanced at me, seeing my mocking look, but not understanding why. Frustrated and agitated, he turned and went to the balcony to answer the call. The argument in the group chat grew more intense, and as I scrolled down, I became surprisingly calm despite my fury. This private school was expensive and exclusive, with families that were either rich or influential. Most of the parents in the group were well-known people in various industries. Ethan had gotten me a job as a teacher here so that I could meet these wealthy wives, helping him with his future career. I scoffed. Unfortunately for them, I wasn't just an ordinary wife. I was a real heiress. If anyone was going to climb the social ladder, it would be them trying to get close to me. Olivia had quickly tried to become friendly with the group of wealthy women from the first day, hosting gift exchanges and tea parties. She made quite a show of it. Ethan liked gentle, dependent women, so Olivia had worn lace dresses, obediently playing the part of the precious bird in the gilded cage. He liked a supportive partner, so Olivia made being Mrs. Ethan her life's goal. But of course, a bird in a gilded cage, no matter how golden the cage, would always be looking over its shoulder, worrying about being replaced. And here she was, claws out, coming for me. Ethan finished his call and, with an apologetic look, sat down beside me. Chloe, Olivia just called to explain. She said the kid is just being mischievous and doesn't understand. Please don't take it to heart. I remained cold and didn't respond. Knowing he was in the wrong, he persisted. Tomorrow, I'll have Olivia invite you over and apologize. I pursed my lips. She had ruined my reputation in front of so many people in that group. She should apologize publicly. Chloe, isn't that a bit too much? He suddenly raised his voice, shouting at me. The child is also in that group. How do you expect her to feel? You're a teacher. You should know better. His yells stunned me. And had he even thought about how his fiancé was being slandered as the other woman? He realized he had lost control, rubbing his forehead in frustration and muttering, "The semester's almost over. I'll take care of your resignation soon. You can just stay home and you won't have to worry about these rumors anymore." I looked at the man before me and a wave of disbelief washed over me. Had he truly lost himself so completely that he was willing to do this for Olivia? 6 years, over 2,000 days, spent together. What was it all for? In the end, it was all meaningless. He didn't even care about the reputation of his fiancée. This had gone far beyond just infidelity. In that moment, I questioned his entire character, and a bitter laugh rose within me. Had I really wasted 6 years of my life on someone like this? The last bit of respect and decency I had for him vanished, and all that was left was a deep disgust. Fine, I'll listen to you. I'm leaving anyway. When Ethan heard me say this, he let out a sigh of relief, his face showing a hint of surprise. He stepped forward to hug me, his tone softening. I knew Chloe was the best. Once this is all sorted out, we can start planning our wedding. He held onto me tightly, burying his face in my neck, just like when we were first in love. I subtly avoided his arms and said coolly, "I'm tired. I'm going to rest." He froze for a moment, about to get angry, but then seemed to remember the hurt I'd just endured. He held back his emotions and said dryly, "Okay, rest well. I'll handle the rest." I grabbed my laptop and headed to the study. As I closed the door, I glanced at him, feeling confused. Something seemed different about Ethan lately. He was offering me this grace now. something he'd never done before. Had he suddenly changed his mind? It didn't matter. None of this concerned me anymore. I looked at the flight details on my phone. It was for 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. This was my first time meeting Olivia alone, and as expected, it would probably be the last. We met at a cafe not far from Ethan's office, conveniently located for him to play the hero and rush to my rescue. I stirred my coffee, smiling sarcastically to myself. Chloe, you wanted to see me? Olivia, dressed in a white dress with her long hair falling over her shoulders, hurried over and sat down across from me. She looked like a naive, innocent girl, completely unaware of the real world. I didn't bother with small talk and slammed my phone on the table. These two messages in the parents' group were sent by you, right? Sorry, she began, but I raised my hand to stop her. No need to pretend there's no one else here. She stared at me, then suddenly smiled. Chloe, you're not as virtuous as he says. What are you trying to do? Why make a scene? No matter how much trouble you cause, Ethan won't love you anymore. I looked her straight in the eyes. Who's making a scene here? It's you who brought it into the class group. I can step aside and let the two of you be together, but if you mess with my career, I won't let you off easily. Olivia's expression turned to irritation. She picked up her coffee and took a sip. Career, career. Stop playing the wise, independent woman. The only issue here is Ethan. If you leave him, I wouldn't have to do this. Hearing what I had expected, I smiled. How does it feel to have been the other woman for so many years, Olivia? Her face twisted in fury like a cat that had its tail stepped on. I'm not the other woman. When Ethan and I were kids, where were you? You think those years were just given to you? You stole my life, don't you know that? Seeing her so worked up only made me more amused. Although you ruined our engagement ceremony, we already signed a prenuptial agreement. The house you live in is in my name, and I also own 20% of Ethan's company. No matter how you argue, you're still, at best, the nominal other woman. Olivia's grip tightened around the cup, and she raised her hand as if to throw it at me. But before she could, I quickly poured a steaming hot chocolate all over her, drenching her in the rich brown liquid. The dark chocolate melted from her hair, dripping down onto her white dress, completely ruining it. She looked as though she had just fallen into a pit of mud. She screamed uncontrollably. Are you crazy, Chloe, you lunatic? I calmly took out 2 bills, folded them neatly, and placed them under the saucer as cleaning fees. I wiped my hands slowly and continued. By the way, I've already called the police. It's hard to explain things to someone like you, but maybe you should know that slander and defamation in public are criminal offenses. I won't drop the charges. A sentence of less than 3 years in prison, and it'll stay on your record. You really thought I was at home crying these past few days? I gave her a look full of contempt. Watching her clench her teeth in rage, I nodded slightly toward the direction behind her. I can tell you want Ethan to be Sophia's father, but sorry, this child is better off with her real father raising her. Olivia's anger turned to confusion. She turned her head in disbelief. A man, looking disheveled but with a dangerous glint in his eyes, approached and grabbed her arm. Damn it! You've made it hard for me to find her. What? You think you can have my daughter marry some rich man? First, ask her father if he agrees. Thomas, Olivia's ex-husband. They had met in H country, and from the first moment, Thomas had aggressively pursued Olivia. Gold jewelry and luxury brands flowed freely from him, and he played the part of a wealthy second-generation heir. He charmed Olivia so completely that they quickly married, and they had a daughter, Sophia. But after Sophia was born, Olivia realized that Thomas was just an illegal immigrant with no money and a massive debt. Frightened, she fled back to her home country with Sophia, seeking Ethan's help. What a shame. It was all so well hidden, but I found it. After seeing the rumors in the group, I quickly did some research to uncover the connections and eventually led Thomas here. Thomas was a thug, and now that he had Olivia in his grasp, there was no way he would let her go easily. He yanked her arm and dragged her toward the door. You damn woman, you think you can run away? No matter where you go, Sophia is still my daughter. How much did you get for selling out Ethan's daughter? I'll make you pay for this. Olivia was trembling in fear, screaming, I don't know him. Help! I don't know this man. A brave waiter approached, trying to step in. Would you like me to call the police, ma'am? Thomas pulled out their marriage certificate from his pocket and slammed it onto the table. "We're legally married, so stay out of this or I'll make you regret it." I gently stopped the waiter. "It's fine, I've already called the police." Before I could finish my sentence, Ethan finally arrived. He first saw me, frowned, and said, "What are you doing here? I told you I was busy today." "Ethan," Olivia cried out. He froze, then turned around. His beloved Olivia, now covered in hot chocolate, was sitting on the ground, dirty and looking completely disheveled. Just as his face changed, Thomas punched him, sending Ethan crashing to the floor. With Olivia's scream, the two men quickly started fighting, a wild brawl breaking out. I sat back calmly on the high stool, leisurely eating a freshly baked tiramisu, waiting for the final act to unfold. In the distance, the sound of police sirens grew louder. Satisfied, I picked up the folder I had prepared earlier. Everything was about to end. I had carefully packed all the property agreements Ethan and I had made, all our love photos and messages from university to work, as well as the history of Olivia and her ex-husband. I also included the full video footage from the cafe. The folder's cover was designed as an engagement invitation for me and Ethan, and I sent it to the group. All the photos and messages of our sweet moments, our love, were proof of what we had shared. 6 years of being together, countless memories that I had been planning to show at our wedding. The library desks we studied at together, the graduation ceremonies we attended, our first move into a new home, and all the things we bought to fill it. There were travel photos from different places and many meals we shared. But somewhere along the way, Olivia had forced her way into the timeline of our shared memories. What was once love, now tainted and spoiled, had become a sharp blade. I pulled it out of my chest and stabbed it mercilessly into these two people who had betrayed me. As soon as the invitation went out, it caused an even bigger reaction in the group of wealthy wives. If Olivia's earlier messages had made some of the wives just watch and wait, unsure of which side to take, my folder was the final blow. It destroyed this couple, turning the gossip and rumors into a public shaming. The wives in the group reacted strongly, mocking, laughing, and enraged. They were all women who enjoyed the comfort of their homes, and nothing angered them more than someone from the outside disrupting a family. Some sharp-eyed wives recognized Ethan's name and immediately announced that their companies would no longer be working with him. The school's board of directors was also alerted, and under pressure from all sides, Ethan was temporarily suspended and put under review. In an instant, public opinion completely changed, and it all started with me. Some curious people even reached out to try to become friends with me, hoping to get close to the future Mrs. Ethan. But I knew better than to get involved. I wasn't Ethan's partner, and I never would be. These women were just angry about someone else interfering in their world, and Olivia had threatened their shared interests. As for me, I wasn't one of them. On top of that, I submitted all the evidence of Olivia's slander to the police and insisted that I wouldn't drop the charges. Since that meeting at the cafe, Ethan and I never saw each other again. Thomas took Sophia and demanded a large sum of money from Ethan. They were now hiding in a poor area on the west side of the city. Olivia was officially arrested for trying to get money illegally, while Ethan, worried about Sophia and trying to use every connection he had to protect Olivia, found himself in a hopeless situation. In the end, Olivia was sentenced to 2 years in prison. This was the best outcome I could get for her, thanks to the influence of my father. Once everything was settled, I took out my SIM card and threw it in the trash at the airport, walking away without looking back at the place I had called home for the last 6 years. From the plane, looking down at the city below, I felt no connection, only a strong feeling of excitement for the new life ahead. Ethan, from this moment on, our lives will never cross paths again. When I found out that Chloe had left, I was shocked. I locked myself away and drank a lot of alcohol by myself. I turned off my phone, and I didn't care about anyone who tried to reach me. My life felt empty, as if a part of me had been taken away. And that part was Chloe. I had always thought she would quietly sit on the couch, year after year beside me. That, once I dealt with all the problems, she would happily become my wife. In my drunken state, I remembered the first time I saw Chloe. It was at the freshman orientation ceremony. She was the representative for the outstanding new students, standing on stage giving a speech. I was her senior and also the host for that day. The girl stood confidently on stage in a black dress. Every gesture, every movement was graceful and natural. I could bet that almost every guy in the audience had their eyes on her. She was amazing, not because of delicate features, but because of a calm, effortless beauty. Her fingers were clean and soft, and I couldn't look away. The second time I saw her was during the university's mathematical modeling competition. We were on the same team. As the only female and a freshman, people couldn't help but want to take care of her. But she turned out to be even more capable than we had imagined. We easily won first place, and at the celebratory dinner, I subtly moved the others away, sat next to her, blocking everyone's view, and finally got her attention. From that day on, I often invited her to meals, to study in the library, to participate in activities. I was increasingly impressed by her independence and excellence. During this time, many different guys were always around her. I used every excuse to stay as close as possible to her. She liked ambitious men, so I made sure to maintain the highest GPA in the whole grade. She liked smart and capable men, so I took part in various activities to improve myself. She loved psychology and philosophy, so I read up on those subjects just so I could have common topics to talk about with her. She was like the moon, always calm and quiet, not flashy or showy like the other girls, but still attracting people to her. Finally, during the summer after her first year, we officially started our relationship. How could someone as excellent as her be with someone like me? I had never been so uncertain and insecure about a woman before. Before her, I had only liked my neighbor girl, Olivia. She was obedient and gentle, never asked for much from me, and simply focused on me. I just needed to enjoy that. But Chloe, she always made me feel uneasy. She was hardworking, emotionally stable, exceptional, and treated me very well as a girlfriend. But why did I always feel like she wasn't really mine? If only she were a little more ordinary, a little more plain, then maybe she'd never leave me. Through hard work and persistence, I eventually got a job offer from a well-known local company right after graduation. But at that moment, Chloe hesitated and told me that her parents wanted her to move back to the capital city for work. In the capital, there were rich young men everywhere. Would she still love me if she went back? I didn't want a long-distance relationship, and I definitely wouldn't accept her leaving me. With my persuasion, she gave up her future and decided to stay, even though she had a huge fight with her family about it. I felt an unprecedented sense of satisfaction and relief. This time, only I was in her life. I was her everything. Olivia's return to China was unexpected, yet familiar. She was still wearing the same white dress, standing before me, and the power I once had over her was back in my hands. I arranged housing for her and helped her settle in. She sweetly called me Ethan Gege. Hearing this again, I felt guilty and glanced at Chloe. She seemed natural, not a hint of jealousy in her expression. For some reason, I felt strangely irritated. That calm and composed manner in Chloe, which I had once admired, now seemed unbearable. I began staying out late, accepting Olivia's invitations with hidden intentions, pretending to forget our anniversary and even her birthday. Finally, as I had hoped, Chloe started to break down, throwing things, crying. I felt unexpectedly surprised and pleased. I quickly went to comfort her. The more she broke down, the more twisted satisfaction I felt. This once untouchable flower, willing to act like a little girl for me? How satisfying. But as her breakdowns became more frequent, I grew increasingly impatient. Didn't she know when to stop? Olivia understood that well. Her tears were just enough to make me pity her without ever becoming tiring. Looking back now, I realize what a terrible person I was. Only real tears show true loss and heartbreak. Beneath all those emotions was her true love for me. How many times did she cry silently when I couldn't see? When did she stop crying, and when did she hand in that resignation letter? I threw the bottle aside and looked around the apartment. Chloe hadn't packed much to leave, only some clothes. It was as if she was just going on a trip and would return soon. She vanished as if she had disappeared into thin air, and I used all my connections to search for her, but found no trace. It felt as though these 6 years had just been a fleeting dream in my life. Because of that scandal, my career suffered. I resigned voluntarily, stepped down from all my positions, and even signed an agreement not to work in the same industry for the next 3 years. But the truth was, it wasn't just about quitting. I wanted to make a more drastic, irreversible move. Would Chloe feel sorry for me and come back? She would forgive me. She loved me that much. Olivia was already in prison, and I hadn't seen Sophia again. Thomas came to see me once. In the middle of our argument, he punched me, knocking me to the ground. In that moment of dizziness, I remembered the scene at the cafe. It had been just like this. She had taken a bite of cake and calmly looked at me. I tried to remember, staring at her blurry face, trying to find some sign of love and reluctance. But I found nothing. All I heard was Thomas's curses and slaps. My eyes closed and I fainted. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. My parents and a few former colleagues were sitting by my side. I looked at them one by one, recognizing their faces, but I couldn't find Chloe's. It couldn't be. It just couldn't be. Chloe couldn't be so heartless as to not want to see me in this state. Suddenly, I went crazy and grabbed the IV drip, throwing it across the room, shouting that I wanted to see my fiancé. My mother trembled, holding my shoulder, grabbing my hand. "Son, she won't come back. She won't come back. Please, calm down. Don't scare your mother." It couldn't be. It couldn't. I shook her hand off and walked out of the room. Where could she go? She wouldn't leave me. She loved me that much. I muttered to myself as I walked. Suddenly, a group of doctors rushed in and pinned me down. "Hurry, this patient has gone mad." "Sedative, sedative." My body felt like it was being held down by countless arms. Someone twisted my arm and injected me with a shot. After a dizzying blur, I saw a white light. For a moment, I thought I saw Chloe's face. She was still wearing that black dress, standing on the podium. Her eyes were clear, but they didn't look at me. I struggled desperately, screaming, using all my strength to try and run towards her. But the image grew farther and farther away until it finally disappeared into darkness. I closed my eyes in despair, knowing that I had lost her forever,